Let's talk about why you don't want to give up your binge eating episodes. And maybe some of you are thinking, what are you talking about? Makes me feel so horrible and bad and guilty, and all these feelings after every binge are just so terrible. All I want is to stop. Maybe you can think about moments that you maybe partially were even looking forward to it. Maybe there's a part of you that wants to keep binge eating. Maybe there's a part of you that is even scared to give it up. Because what will be happening? What will happen if you will stop it forever? What will happen and how would you feel if you never binged again? Maybe there is this conscious mind of you that tells you, oh my God, I would love that. But really connect with that feeling. Connect with your inner reaction, that response within yourself, if you just imagine to never binge again. And see how that feels. And I'm not making any assumptions or I don't have any expectations how I want you to respond. I just want for you to think and really feel into your body what that feels like. Because a lot of the time that can give you an idea whether maybe subconsciously or to some degree you actually don't even want to stop. Because a lot of the time, binge eating meets a need for us. And the need could be actually catching up on calories. So maybe we have not been eating enough calories. Maybe we are restricting food. Let's say we're not allowing ourselves to eat food that we usually would give to our kids. Maybe lunchbox food or pasta or some form of burgers. But then we go and binge on those foods. So then in that moment it would be hard to want to even give up on binge eating, because that means you are not allowed to have that food ever again. Just think about it. What is the need that you're meeting by binge eating? Maybe that's the only time when you allow yourself to relax. And I had clients who said, if I binge, that means that I feel then tired, exhausted, I feel sick in my stomach. That means I have now a reason to just relax, or have a break from work, or to procrastinate from the studies that I have to do, or from doing house chores. Maybe that's your only way to have that break, to have that pause. Maybe that's your only way to actually even rejuvenate or relax or have a break. So really think about how would you feel, what would you will be left with if you didn't have that anymore. Who are you without those binges? Sometimes we are so used to constantly worrying and focusing on food in our body that if we stop doing that, what else do we have to do? What else are we going to do? What are we left with? And that's also something that I keep hearing from my clients. I'm so used to worrying about my body, so I sabotage, I constantly binge, because that gives me a reason then to worry. Because when I worry, that's the only way for me to stay on track. Because the fear is, if I stop worrying about food and about my body, that I will then eat whatever I want. And if I eat whatever I want, then I will end up not being able to get through the door. I'm exaggerating because this is what our brain is doing, our mind is doing. Our mind is creating these worst case scenarios that are just so much worse than it would ever be in reality. But because your mind is making up those stories, it feels absolutely scary. So are you maybe even sabotaging and making yourself worrying about food, because that means then you continue worrying about your body, and as long as you're worrying about your body, you stay on track. That means that you are not blowing up and then won't fit through the door. What does binge eating do for you? What need does it need? What need does it meet? It meets a need. And that's why secretly, or let's say underlying, or on a subconscious level, you don't want to binge. You don't want to stop binge eating. Just think about it. Few prompts here, few questions. And if you want to stop binge eating, the first suggestion that I would like to give you is to go and eat adequate amounts and adequate food, adequate meals, balanced meals, nutritious meals, regular meals. Food that you usually avoid, bring it back in, because the number one reason for binge eating urges and triggers is not eating enough, not eating adequately. And that's why I've created the balanced diet framework, where I teach you exactly when, what, how much, and why, and how often to eat, so you can reduce those food cravings and that you can reduce those binge eating cravings. Because as I said, this is the number one reason for binge eating. And this has helped me personally to overcome binge eating. And also what I see with my clients, if they follow this framework, if they eat adequately, their urges subside. And then we can look into the psychological reasons, but the physiological reasons are then covered. Because we can work on the psychological reasons, but as long as you're not eating adequately, you will keep binge eating. So it's really, really important that you do that. I will add the link below. I'd love to hear your answers to the questions that I've just mentioned. I'd love to hear your thoughts around it. And do you feel that you secretly don't want to end up binge eating?